Guys, and welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. Today we are showcasing Noah Kaiba's profile. Coming up, get straight into it, shall we? So we'll start off with Noah Kaiba's boss monster, guys, and that is Shinado, King of a Higher Plane, and I believe this is one of Noah Kaiba's deck masters in the Virtual World arc. 3300 attack and 3000 defense. Shinado is a fairy slash ritual slash effect monster. This card can only be ritual summoned with the ritual spell card Shinado's Arc. You must offer monsters obviously with a total level of 8 as a tribute to get this guy from the hand to the field. When a defensive position monster on your opponent's side of the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this card as a result of battle, inflict damage to your opponent's life points to the original attack of the destroyed monster. So that card is really good. So you're always going to be doing damage regardless of if the opponent's playing in defense or not. Next up is another really strong monster in Noah's profile here, guys. Hino Kagu Tushi. 2800 attack and 2900 defense. Pyro Spirit monster with a very good effect too. This card, obviously, with Spirit monsters, returns back to the owner's hand at the end of the turn. That was normal summon, flip summon will flip face up. So the effect reads as follows. If this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, your opponent must discard all cards in his or her hand during the next draw phase. And that is absolutely devastating if this card gets some damage off. Even though it returns back to hand, your opponent's basically top decking for the rest of the game. Another very strong spirit monster. We've given Noah a really good spirit theme build here. This is Yamata Dragon. It's a dragon spirit monster with 2600 attack and 3100 defense. Obviously the same conditions as other spirit monsters. So when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, draw cards from your deck until you have 5 cards in your hand. That is absolutely a great effect if you can get this guy on the field. Next up on the list, guys, is Great Long Nose. I think this is originally Noah Kaiba's first deck master before Shinado took over. Could be wrong there, someone correct me, I haven't watched the anime in a while. But Great Long Nose is a 5-star Beast Warrior Spirit monster with 1900 attack and 1700 defense. Obviously a Spirit monster again. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, your opponent must skip their next battle phase. So sure, they can build up their plays on the board, but if you can keep them from attacking, it's obviously really good. Okay, we run 2 copies of Chiron the Mage. Chiron the Mage is a Beast Warrior slash effect monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. So really solid 4-star monster. Once per turn, you can discard 1 spell card to destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls. So very good effect. Okay, we run 1 copy of Yaksha. 4-star Fairy Spirit monster with 1900 attack and 1500 defense. So when this card is normal summon or flip face up, you can select 1 spell or trap card your opponent controls, return that to the hand. So that is actually a really decent effect. Okay, we run 1 copy of Azura Priest. It's a 4-star light monster with 1700 attack and 1200 defense. So this spirit monster can attack all the monsters on your opponent's side of the field once each. This monster cannot attack your opponent directly if it attacks any monsters first. Like, really good card in terms of wiping out your opponent's board, especially if you get a power up, which we do have a few in this profile. Next up, we have Izanami. Izanami is a water 4-star fairy slash spirit monster with 1100 attack and 1800 defense. So when this card is normal summon will flip face up, you can discard 1 card to add 1 spirit monster from your graveyard to your hand. So that is a very useful effect if you've had something that's been previously destroyed that you want back on the field. Izanami is a very useful spirit monster. Next up, we run 1 copy of Aratama. Aratama is a 4-star dark fiend slash spirit monster with 800 attack and 1800 defense. So obviously you'd play this in defense for this part. Normal summon will flip face up. You can add 1 spirit monster from your deck to your hand except Aratama. So it's just getting resources to your hand and be able to build up plays with this Noah profile. Okay, we run 1 copy of Rasetsu. Rasetsu is a fire 4-star fairy slash spirit monster with 1500 attack and 1900 defense. And it's got a pretty cool effect. So when you obviously normal summon will flip it up. You can reveal 1 spirit monster from your hand except this card. Then target 1 face-up attack position monster your opponent controls. Return that target to the hand. You cannot special summon during the turn you activate this effect. So there's a wee bit of a side effect, but you can use this card to effectively get very strong monsters back to the hand, so the opponent has to work really hard to get them back on the field again. Okay, we run one copy of Fushi no Tori, 4-star Wing Beast Spirit Monster, 1200 attack and 0 defense. So when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, increase your life points by an amount equal to the battle damage. We run one copy of Inaba White Rabbit, 3-star Beast / Spirit Monster with 700 attack and 500 defense. So when this card is pretty much summoned, you can pretty much attack your opponent's life points directly. We run one copy of Giant Rex. Giant Rex is a 4-star dinosaur / effect monster with 2000 attack and 1200 defense. This card obviously can't attack directly. If this card is banished, you can special summon this card, and if you do, this card gains 200 attack for each of your banished dinosaur monsters. You can only use this effect of Giant Rex once per turn. We run two copies of Guardius. Guardius is a 1200 attack and 800 defense machine monster. We run one copy of the Giant Soldier of Stone. Giant Soldier of Stone, 1300 attack and 2000 defense. And we run two copies of Otterheim. Otterheim is a spellcaster spirit monster with 0 attack and 100 defense. So when this card is normal summon will flip face up, you can change the battle positions of one face up monster on your opponent's side of the field. So kind of useful. We have to run two copies of that because that's what Noah actually has in the anime. And to round, we've got a couple more monsters actually. We've got one copy of the famous Yada Garatsu. Who remembers the Yada locks back in the day? Very, very strong card. 2-star Fiend / Spirit monster with 200 attack and 100 defense. So when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, your opponent skips his or her next draw phase. So if your opponent has nothing in their hand pretty much, Yada Garatsu can continuously attack if they've got no resources. To round out the monsters of Noah Kaiba's profile, guys, we've got Guardius' option. So it's a machine / effect monster with attack ? And defense ? So the effect reads as follows. This monster can only be special summoned by selecting one Guardius on your side of the field. The attack and defense of this monster is always equipped to the attack and defense of the selected Guardius. If the selected Guardius is destroyed or removed from the field, this card is also destroyed. Next up, guys, we've got one copy of Cyclone Laser. So Cyclone Laser is when you equip Guardius, increase this attack of Guardius by 300 points. When the equipped Guardius attacks with an attack that is higher than the defense of a defensive position monster, inflict the difference as battle damage to your opponent's life points. We run one copy of Monster Reborn. We run one copy of Sebek's Blessing. So Sebek's Blessing is if your monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent by direct attack, gain the same amount of life points. So Inaba White Rabbit with Sebek's Blessing, of course, will gain you some very useful points. We run one copy of Change of Heart. So Change of Heart's very useful in this profile to potentially go into something a bit stronger in terms of spirit monsters. And obviously, since spirit monsters are hard to get on the field as well, like this card is very, very useful in taking control of your opponent's monsters, obviously when they don't return back to hand. Now we're on to some very interesting cards into this profile, guys. We've got some spirit monster equipped, so let's go through them, shall we? So we've got one copy of Mirror of Yata. Mirror of Yata is equipped only to a spirit monster. The equipped monster does not have to have its effect that returns to the hand activated. If this card will be destroyed by battle, you destroy this card instead. So Mirror of Yata is very useful on a very strong spirit monster. That's what I'd save it for. We run one copy of Sword of Kasangi. So Sword of Kasangi is equipped only to a spirit monster. During battle, when it attacks a defensive position monster whose defense is lower than the attack of the equipped monster, inflict the difference as battle damage to your opponent. When the equipped monster you control is returned to the hand and this card is sent to the graveyard, return this card to your hand. So you can use it multiple times. That's a very good card in terms of putting on a strong spirit monster and doing battle damage. We run one copy of Orb of Yaksha. So Orba Yorkshire is equipped only to a spirit monster. When it destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, gain life points equal to that monster's original attack. So that could be absolutely phenomenal. If something strong's on the field and you manage to destroy it, like a massive gain of 2,000 plus life points. When the equipped monster you control is returned to the hand and this card is sent to the graveyard, return this card to your hand. So the ability to return these to the hand and consistently attack with these equips is just going to make the spirit monsters a little bit better to use. Got a very important card next for the spirit monsters. If you can get this card onto the field, Spiritual Energy Settle Machine. It's a very good continuous spell card. As long as this card remains face up on the field, all spirit monsters remain face up on the field and do not return to their owner's hands during the end phase, even if they are normal summon will flip face up. Discard one card from your hand during each of your end phases if you do not destroy this card. When this card is removed from the field, all face-up spirit monsters return to the owner's hand. So it's a good card, but if your opponent can get rid of it, all your spirit monsters return back to the hand effectively, and putting you in a lot of strife. Okay, we run one copy of Spring of Rebirth. So Spring of Rebirth is increase your life points by 500 points every time monsters return from the field to your owner's hand. So that's obviously really good with Noah Kaiba's profile because you've got constantly spirit monsters returning. So you're going to gain a lot of life points with this build. We run one copy of Shinado's Arc, obviously to get Shinado, King of a Higher Plane, out onto the field. We run one copy of Pot of Greed. We run one copy of Fisher. So Fisher is destroy one face-up monster your opponent controls that has the lowest attack. Your choice if tied. Okay, we're moving on to the trap cards of Noah Kaiba's profile now. We're getting very close to the end. We've got one copy of Earthshaker. So Earthshaker is select two monster card attributes. Your opponent then selects one of the two attributes and destroys all face-up monsters with that attribute on the field. So very good if, say, your opponent is running one type of monster. Very cool card, actually, Earthshaker. We run two copies of Pyro Clock of Destiny. So Pyro Clock of Destiny is move the turn count forward by one turn. The turn in which this card is activated continues as normal. So it's a certain situational card. Very hard to explain. I think it is useful in some decks in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, but it's in this deck because Noah Kaiba runs it. Next up, I run one copy of Mirror Force. A pretty good card to have in this deck. Obviously, when the opponent attacks, Mirror Force activates, destroys all face-up attack position monsters. To round out the deck, guys, I've gone with a very interesting selection. This selection. It looked cool. It looks like a boat, and obviously in the Virtual World Arc, Noah's pretty much on a boat, effectively. Pay 1,000 life points to negate the summon of a monster that has the same type as a monster on the field and destroy it. So that rounds out the profile, guys. One thing I'll have to say is I do apologise for all the cuts. Spirit Monsters had a lot of text in it, and I had to take it slowly one at a time. That's hence why you'll see that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the profile. Anyway, I went for a different kind of Noah Kaiba theme, running a lot of Spirit Monsters. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video, share with a friend. Of course, our favourite monster from the profile. For me, you can't go past good old Yata-Garatsu. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next time for another deck profile.